So we're here at the Blockchain Futurist Conference in beautiful Toronto. We're by the pool, Lake Ontario behind us. Look at this beautiful skyline. I'm here with Nick. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Thank you very much. I'm Nick Sanschagrin, head of DeFi with ChainStack, and just thrilled to be part of the conversation here and attending Futurist Toronto.
All right, so ChainStack, tell us a little bit more about it. Give us your elevator pitch.
Elevator pitch, right on. So when it comes to building in Web3 and blockchain, what you want to do is get to a development point fast. You want to offload some of the resources and put the development on node operation and RPC endpoints to a company like ourselves that does it as a service. So the biggest challenge for developers is actually getting started, which is a simple concept, but I guess what you do is you would start with what we call a public RPC endpoint on one of the chains that you want to develop on. As you're building out the project, things are going to get kind of globbed up, they're going to slow down, things are going to get consolidation. So once you do that, you want to transition to a vendor like ourselves that offers this as a service. We do this at scale and at a really low cost. So instead of keeping your developers up at night, you can say, I'm going to offload my node management to a provider like ChainStack. We support geographic different locations with cloud providers, and we can essentially do this for you as a service so that your developers, which are your highest priced resources, can focus on something that they do best, which is working on the UI, the experience, a bit of the app, those kinds of things.
Very cool. So for those who are not so techie like myself, what does RPCM mean?
So an RPC is a remote procedure call.
RPC.
So what happens is anybody on blockchain, when they're developing, they need to push data and pull data from the blockchains.
Yeah.
And so nodes are essentially the ecosystem, the network that powers these blockchains.
Yeah.
And so as a developer, if I want to build an exchange or a DEX, which is a decentralized exchange, or an NFT marketplace, or even mint my own NFT project, there's kind of a transition and phase as a developer to go from a free service to a paid service to a premium service, and we can kind of help along that journey. So we have developer plans for clients just getting started, all the way to our full-blown enterprise plans, full customization, tutorials, full support, etc. So we can help get you from essentially zero to developing in a matter of minutes, which is pretty wild.
So you're here with your team, you have the branded t-shirts going on,
Yes,
you
sir.
guys are working the floor. What are you hoping to achieve here?
Honestly, I think it's just a bit of exposure. So number one, the show hasn't been on since 2019, right? We went through a bit of a hiatus with COVID, so it's good to be able to get back out there and see members of the community.
Nothing like meeting people in real life.
Right. I mean, we've been doing Zoom calls for 2 or 3 years, and
My head hurts just thinking about it.
Absolutely. So getting out there, talking about ChainStack, helping developers learn that we exist. We're up against some pretty stiff competition. We really feel like we have a good value pitch, and it's really just getting the message out there to say, look, give us a shot. We're there to help. We've got the support that you need, and really kind of take over the market is the goal.
Really, really awesome. Anything that kind of stood out already since you've been here? Anything in particular, whether it be about the program or the content or even just this incredible setup, as I mentioned?
I was going to say, I mean, the flow, the vibe out here is very nice. I mean, we've got, you've got Rebel, so my colleagues from Toronto, this is a place that kind of hosts big events and club nights, so it's got that jazzy feel to it. The lights, the colors, the show, it really feels a little upscale.
Like, I was here last Saturday.
Yeah, we just slept over, right?
Yeah.
But no, it's been fantastic, and honestly, the openness of people, I find it shows to be able to have a conversation, sit down with you, have a discussion, get the word out there, learn from others, and build partnerships. Like honestly, we could spend months trying to do this digitally, and then you can spend 5-10 minutes with somebody and just get so much more traction that way.
Yeah.
I find at least that's kind of
what
I
also find amazing is the diversity. I mean, I've seen so many different kinds of people. It's almost like this was designed to be like that. It's like really you have every kind of avatar, let's say, of person from young to old, men and women, people that are maybe more techie, others that are kind of more crypto curious even. Is this unique to this event, or do you feel that's more of a broader blockchain community kind of thing?
So I think honestly, like starting with the hackathon, for example, right? So what we see is big events that are quite successful usually have a hackathon ahead of time, and that's kind of a whole other world that people don't get to see too much, right? They have 3 or 4 days, they're there for 24 hours, they're building to develop a project, and then those are some of the projects that take off. So being able to bring that community of both young and old together, building things within a matter of a time, and then awards and grants kind of brings that together. But also you'll see that, the ChainStack, the blockchain boot camps, right? So the groups that come in here that want to just get involved, they're in Toronto, they want to come and see something new, they want to learn. And also the way the market's going, right? We went through a bit of a crypto winter, so people are sort of afraid. So this is maybe an exposure to say, look, is this thing still happening? Is it alive? What's going on with it?
It really is.
Well, sure. I mean, I guess it depends who's here, but the believers are here, and then you start to see other folks kind of getting involved where they're saying, look, there's real use to this, there's real world kind of use cases. We saw somebody selling real world NFTs where hats are minted and those kinds of things, right? So just the use cases that people come out to present, it's really nice.
So I understand you guys are a global company, kind of borderless, .io type of company. but you mentioned, I think, Austin and Singapore, if I got this correctly.
Yeah.
Why are you guys developing into Canada, and I think even in multiple locations?
Absolutely. So first of all, I think personally I'm a Canadian, so it means a lot to me. My colleague Eric's from Toronto, I'm from Ottawa. So having a Canadian presence is quite important. There's a ton of development that happens out of Montreal and Toronto. Ottawa is a bit of a smaller hub. The company's sitting in Singapore, and so Singapore has its own set of rules around crypto that gives us a bit more flexibility.
Yeah, okay.
Headquartered in Massachusetts for the US branch, you'll see that 70% of our clients are US based, but we're really kind of trying to expand into Europe, Middle East, Asia, Africa. Actually, Africa's an amazing market. They have a lot of sort of, payment issues with central banks.
A lot of unbanked people even.
That's who's kind of the
who have a mobile
market.
phone, by the way.
Absolutely, right? They have
no bank, but they have a mobile phone. So
Yeah.
in a sense, they're carrying their own bank in their pockets.
Absolutely. And then on the Canadian front, I guess that's just a personal vendetta is, we'd love to see more and more projects happening in Canada. You talk about ETH Toronto, the birthplace of Vitalik and those kinds of things, right? So for us, it's just exciting to see the energy that this place brings.
Yeah.
And I think we have a place in the global kind of Bitcoin world, right?
Yeah, well, that's good to hear. That's absolutely what we want to hear. And where would you say the market is at? I mean, obviously, we've seen incredible adoption over the last few years. I think we've reached 200, 300, or 400 million users,
Yeah.
which, if you think about it, is still only like 5%
Pennies.
of the world population, right?
Absolutely.
But I mean, it has reached, let's say, critical mass. I think we hit $3 trillion as a market cap overall. Maybe a year ago, we're probably sitting at maybe one right now. We're down just a little bit. But anyways,
survived.
they say zoom out. Yeah,
Sure.
for sure. And maybe it's a bit of a weeding out of the market that's necessary. But by the same token, pun intended, just came up with that one. BlackRock just announced a few days ago that they were partnering with Coinbase, when a
Yes.
few years ago they were pretty critical of blockchain and
Absolutely.
crypto. So what does that tell you about where we're at right now?
So I think you made a good point there, right? So it was a
Good.
bit of a
Well, thank you very
shakeout.
much.
Yeah.
So, sorry.
No, you called it like, I think, many people are watching it from a distance. And what happened was, I think from late 2019 to 2021, it was just hype. You couldn't put money in the wrong place. Protocols were pushing out huge yield.
Rising tide raises all boats.
Absolutely, right? And so what happened is then we hit not only COVID, we hit the Russia situation with Ukraine.
Like multiple swan events.
Absolutely.
Black swan
And then,
events.
it's a shakeout, right? So what we realize is the projects that are going to survive and the ones that we get to speak with are folks that are very well funded, but aren't burning money on different things on marketing and jazz. They're really focusing on the development staff, the community. The other thing too is you're seeing that there's been a bit of a resurgence, right? So if you're watching the charts,
Yeah.
I think we went through what could be the worst.
And resiliency as well, I
sure.
feel, right? I mean, Bitcoin at $20,000,
Yeah.
if you think of where it was even 2 years ago, is staggering, right?
It's sad if you were in at the 60K range, but for others, it was an opportunity to get involved.
Hey, even some big guys bought at 30. I think even Michael Saylor bought at 30.
Absolutely.
So that maybe in and of itself tells you something, right?
Dollar cost averaging, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
But no, I mean, in terms of the marketplace, what I would say is with the shakeout and with the resurgence, you're going to see the leading projects kind of take off.
Right.
And I think those are going to be the ones that bring the most value to clients. So instead of having 100 different options of kind of bit junkier projects, you'll have maybe 50 options that are all pretty reasonable and that actually add value to the community versus, I think it was just a bit of hype. Especially you
Right.
talk about the NFT space, right? The market prices for some of these things was outrageous. Now you're starting to see real world utility. You're starting to see people put those things to use, commercialization of those assets. So we feel it was a good thing. Sadly, a lot of people got kind of wiped out, but it's a shakeout. And you look at the
it's
cycles.
Darwinian, I guess, right?
Yeah, the strongest survive.
Yeah, well, but I mean, it's also, the people should maybe also learn to invest, more carefully, do your own research as
they say,
the
DIR.
mantra goes. What do you think are some of the big milestones on the horizon right now for the crypto market? What are you, as an entrepreneur, as a business leader, what are you watching in particular? Is there one event or is it just everything? Because it's so complex otherwise, isn't it?
So I'll call out the next one. I mean, we're here at ETH Toronto, right? The merge in September, right? So all the folks, what I try to explain to kind of other folks is the transition from this proof of work to proof of stake mechanism, right? Everything at some point should be staked. I should be just earning by having cash in stake, right? So I think this transition from proof of work to proof of stake is going to be huge. It wipes out 99% of the energy costs. So all the folks that are kind of pounding against crypto saying it's burning energy, contributing to global warming, you're consuming electricity.
Just won't have that argument anymore.
Absolutely. And with that, I think opens up the door to a lot of different mining companies and folks that were sort of maybe taking advantage of the market to kind of back off and allow, more folks like you and I to take in part with what we call staking, right? So I put my stake on the line and I'll help prove the consensus of the blockchain and the ecosystem. So it gives everybody a chance to get involved, earn return that the banks aren't providing, and still see a bit more of a transition towards greener energy, those kinds of things. So overall, I think the merge is a big deal this summer. And then from there, I mean, I would like to see more institutional investment. So what we were looking at my last gimmick, we were custodians. And what the issue was is the transition from institutional money into crypto was about 18 months away, and that was 6 months ago. So you're at the cusp of seeing big banks get involved.
Yeah.
Desjardins Case,
Well,
those
again,
kinds of
BlackRock,
things.
I mean, coming in, that
Sure.
sends a loud message into the community, doesn't it?
It's here to stay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because of course, big asset managers, I think multi-trillionaires, so I think 10 trillion even, which
Yeah.
is half of the U.S. economy.
Sure.
They're investing for the long term. They're not into they're not even swing traders, right? They're really long-term asset holders, right?
And some would say they bought at a discount. I mean, that's neither here nor there, but
good for them. Good for them.
Absolutely.
Where can people find you? And obviously, ChainStack.
.com. Absolutely,
okay.
yes. So we're still a .com. So we are I would say a centralized company
Okay.
that offers decentralized services. So ChainStack.com. You can get us on Discord, on Twitter, on Instagram.
Okay.
We can do developer relations advocates. We have account management. We've got the whole group.
Are you on
And
Twitter
so
yourself?
Absolutely.
What is your handle?
Nick Sanschagrin.
Nick Sanschagrin, which
There
means
you
no
go.
sorrow, by the
No
way.
sorrow,
in
exactly.
French, so this man is the happiest man around.
Absolutely. You can get me in English or French, all languages.
Look at that. Well, thank you.
Thank you very much, Flo.
Appreciate it. It was a pleasure speaking with you.
Absolutely.